suspects are being. One case involves the FBI is now offering $100,000 to see for the police are releasing.
Welcome to Misty Mysteries, a true crime podcast and paranormal podcast where I bring you an unsolved case on Wednesday and a paranormal topic on Sunday. This week's true crime fact is there was a criminal named Cowboy Bob who robbed multiple banks with no weapons within 60 seconds. Cowboy Bob was found to be a woman named Peggy Jo Tallis, who would wear a hat, sunglasses, and a fake beard. After serving her time in prison, she robbed another bank, pulling out a toy gun on police when she was caught and shot. This week, I'm going to be talking about the case of Elizabeth Barraza. Have you heard of Anchor? Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. When I started Misty Mysteries, I didn't know where to go, and Anchor helped me get Misty Mysteries started without charging me an arm and a leg. Anchor is really my suggestion for anyone looking to start a podcast. It has tools that allow you to record and edit in-app or on the website. Anchor distributes your podcasts on all the listening places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Good Pods, and all your favorite listening places. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place, and best of all, it's totally free, all on Anchor FM and on the Anchor app. Elizabeth Barraza was born June 26, 1990, to parents Robert and Rosemary Knoll. Elizabeth is described as a cheery and happy person who loved to help people and make them happy. Elizabeth went by the name Liz from friends and family. Her best friend, Marcy Shelley, would say much of her life she spent helping friends and strangers. She was a true friend to a lot of people. Elizabeth was very involved in Harry Potter and Star Wars fandom. She would cosplay at conventions as stormtroopers and other characters from Star Wars and Harry Potter. Even when she wasn't cosplaying, Elizabeth loved to have Star Wars and Harry Potter items on her. Her father, Robert, said one of the things that made her stand out was she didn't carry a gun in her holster. She carried a little baby Ewok stuffed animal in her holster so that people would see it. Cosplaying was a big part of her life. She joined a group called the 51st Legion. The 51st Legion is an international Star Wars fan-based organization that makes screen-accurate replicas of Imperial, Stormtroopers, Sith Lords, Clone Troopers, and other villainous characters from the franchise. It can also be called Vader First and is made up all of volunteers. Through the 51st Legion, Elizabeth got in contact with Make-A-Wish Foundation. With the Make-A-Wish Foundation, she would go to hospitals and volunteer her time to cheer up patients in her cosplay outfits. Make-A-Wish wasn't the only connection she made through the 51st Legion. At a convention in 2009, she met her husband Sergio Barraza, who she married February 1st, 2014, when she was 24 years old. Sergio would describe their relationship by saying they were best friends, that they were happy together and enjoyed all the same interests. Elizabeth and Sergio on April 14, 2016, bought a house together in Tomball, Texas, in what is described as a quiet neighborhood that didn't get many visitors. They didn't have any kids, but they had a little brown dachshund named Diesel, who they called D-Man. Elizabeth and Sergio had professional photos taken with Diesel and even had him in all family photos. January 27, 2019, Sergio and Elizabeth were going to be heading to Universal Studios in Florida for their 5th wedding anniversary. The couple was going to go to the Harry Potter world. They even got matching Gryffindor and Slytherin suitcases and shoes. Sergio said Elizabeth had packed weeks in advance. Elizabeth wanted to have extra spending money to make their anniversary trip more exciting and special. On January 25, 2019, the Friday before they left, Elizabeth called in sick from her job as a data analyst at a pipeline company to have a garage sale at her and Sergio's home. Friday, January 25, 2019, started normal. Sergio helped Elizabeth get started setting up the garage sale before leaving for work at 6:48 a.m., saying goodbye to Elizabeth like most mornings. Elizabeth, by herself, finished setting up the garage sale. 6:52, 4 minutes after Sergio left, Elizabeth was shot 3 times in the chest and once in the head, a total of 4 shots fired into Elizabeth. Neighbors called 911 to report that they had heard gunshots and what had happened. Elizabeth was life-flighted to Memorial Hermann Hospital. At the Memorial Hermann Hospital, with Sergio by her side, at 29 years old, Elizabeth passed away from the attack on that same day, January 25th. Her father, Robert, said Elizabeth was an organ donor, and he was grateful that even after death, she got to do what she loved and help other people. Sergio mentioned the hospital she passed away at was one that she'd done many hours of volunteer work at. Back at Elizabeth's home, Harris County Police went to work to help catch Elizabeth's killer. Police found no shells on scene, leading detectives to the murder weapon being a revolver. First lead that was investigated was a robbery gone wrong, but Elizabeth and Sergio hadn't advertised the garage sale on any social media accounts, and only 2 signs were put up in the neighborhood, but none had directions or addresses on them. Elizabeth was going to put signs up after Sergio got home from work. There also were no items taken from the scene. Elizabeth even had a box with $100 in cash broken just in case she needed to break anyone's change during the garage sale that hadn't been touched. Harris County Police talked to the neighbors to see if anyone saw anything. This is when police got a big lead and found a neighbor's security camera had caught the events that took place ending Elizabeth's life, as well as Elizabeth's own Ring doorbell camera had caught some of the events. As a warning for listeners, I am now going to explain what happened in the video, as well as let you know that the victim's family has asked police to share these videos in hope that someone will see them and help bring her to justice. In the video, you can see a black vehicle driving into the neighborhood. The vehicle parks across the street from Elizabeth's home, but doesn't turn the car off. As you can see, the lights are still on. A person wearing a long robe or coat and long hair gets out of the vehicle and walks towards the home. On the doorbell camera, you can hear Elizabeth say good morning to her killer. The person pulls something, most likely the gun, out of their coat. Elizabeth takes a step back from the killer. Elizabeth talks to the person for 8 to 10 seconds, but what she said couldn't be picked up on any cameras. Her killer then shoots her 3 times in the chest. Elizabeth falls to the ground behind her table. Her killer walks around and shoots her once in the head. Her killer then runs back to their vehicle and drives away. Almost a minute later, her killer circles back around as shown on multiple security cameras in the neighborhood. As the detective on her case explains it as checking to make sure she was dead. The detective said it's like the killer called to tell someone the job was done, and the person told him to make sure, which is why they circled back around to the house. Based on the videos found, Elizabeth's killer couldn't be identified as male or female. Based on the killer's mannerisms when they were walking up to Elizabeth and talking to her, it's believed that it could be a woman, but some believe that it looks like her killer was dressed in cosplay and could be male or female. With the help of multiple neighbor security cameras, the vehicle was identified as a black, older model, 4-door Nissan Frontier with a Pro 4X sticker. Sergio was questioned, and his and Elizabeth's life was investigated, but nothing came up. No money problems, no gambling addictions, or affairs on either end were found. Sergio has been cleared from any suspicion from the detectives on the case. Neighbors and the people in Elizabeth's lives were questioned and looked at to see if anyone knew someone who had a black 4-door Nissan Frontier, but nothing was found from that search. Detectives believe Elizabeth was killed or ordered to be killed by someone close to her that knew her. This is because the evidence that nothing was taken and footage was found from Thursday of the black Nissan Frontier in the neighborhood scooping out Elizabeth's home. The person also knew Elizabeth and Sergio's schedule since they killed only 4 minutes after Sergio had left. There are many theories out there around Elizabeth's case, some believing her husband may have had something to do with it, or she found something out that she shouldn't have at work for a pipeline company. Sergio, Elizabeth's husband, and Robert, her father, have both come out and said in interviews and on social media that detectives have issued a warrant that will help bring Elizabeth to justice. Sergio and Elizabeth's family remain close. Sergio has multiple tattoos for Elizabeth, including a portrait of her in a stormtrooper's cosplay, and Robert also has a tattoo that is Star Wars themed for Elizabeth. Robert and Sergio are also building a memorial droid to bring to Make-A-Wish and cosplay events called R2LZ to honor Elizabeth. They have made merch you can buy to donate to the cause and help bring awareness. I will have the official website for that in the episode description. Elizabeth's case still remains unsolved. If you have any tips that can lead to her arrest, in her case, Houston Crime Stoppers has an award for $20,000 that was brought together by friends, family, and the 51st Legion. You can contact 3 different numbers: Harrison County Sheriff's Homicide Department at 713-755-6044, Detective Michael at 713-274-9206, or Crime Stoppers of Houston at 713-222-TIPS. That's TIPS. Thank you for listening to Misty Mysteries. If you like the podcast, please share with friends, family, and on social media. Speaking of social media, you can find the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Podchasers. You can find the podcast on Buy Me a Coffee. Any donations go to help make this podcast better and bring the podcast special content. As always, sources and any information to the case is in the episode description, and I'll see you on Sunday.